Okay, it's time for some straight talk about health, pain, and RV travel. No beating around the bush, we have to deal with reality. And this video is about being forced to change RV plans out of necessity. The downside, but also the amazing upside. So let's get to it. Hi again, folks. Rick from the Boondocking Bears with my trusting sidekick, travel companion, all-round good buddy, and newly groomed little bear. And he was in my arms in take one, but he's sleeping over there now. Anyway, cute dog, but let's get to the meat of this video. So as the years go by and we all age, many of us develop and suffer from chronic pain. It's just reality and nature, and it's the way it is. This summer, it became clear to me that my RV travel plans had to be rethought because traveling in an RV, even the truck camper rig spoken of in an earlier video, just isn't going to cut it. It hurts me to say it, but I have to face the reality. Now, I still want the adventure of RV travel, camping, and exploring the back roads of America. But because of chronic pain, I just have to admit that I have to change how I'll do it. Now, I have to admit, when this flare-up happened this summer, it seemed the whole RV adventure was in jeopardy. But out of that cloud of uncertainty and an element of despair came a new, fresh solution with a silver lining. In fact, more than just a silver lining. What presented was an opportunity to travel the back roads as I wish, for months at a time, but in a way that opened up more comfort and convenience and other travel options that I didn't think possible by owning an RV rig. So as you know, RVing requires a certain degree of physical activity to operate, maintain, repair, set up, and tear down your rig as you move around. Now for the healthy, that is often part of the fun. But when the old body starts screaming at you, if you get a little rambunctious doing what used to be routine stuff, then you're forced to rethink how you can still enjoy this adventurous lifestyle. So in the spring, as many of you regular followers know, I had the whole how to travel decisions made. I was going to travel in a 3/4 ton 4x4 pickup with a decent sized slide-in truck camper towing my Bergman 650 Maxi scooter behind me. Well, that's out now. There's just too much maintenance involved. Maybe too many repairs and too much physical stress on this old body. The bending and squatting to operate the rig and keep it in good working order, for me, is just too much. The up and down movement, squatting, bending, getting on your knees, all that sort of thing just doesn't work anymore. Those movements are the killers. Hey, now I'm not complaining, it's just what it is, and many folks have it far worse than me, so no complaints here. Little Bear and I are happy. Okay, so what's the solution? Well, Little Bear and I are going Prius camping. Yep, I'll travel the country in a Toyota Prius, and when you hear the advantages of why, you might be surprised and maybe want to consider it yourself. So in a nutshell, my new rig will be a new or 2016 Toyota Prius with technology package that has all the bells and whistles, and because it is designed for towing a trailer. I'll outfit it for amazing flexibility, and the range of configurations will meet all my travel needs for any particular trip. And what I mean by that is sometimes I might travel with the Prius by itself, and I'll come back to that in a second. Other times I'll pack a Napier Outdoors number 86,000 tent that attaches right to the Prius, providing an extra 8x8 foot room plus awning to set up a longer term camp and give me tons of room to stretch out and a place to relax on rainy days. And then, when the trip warrants it, I'll tow the Suzuki Bergman 650 scooter so I can ride while still maintaining a base camp. The trailer towing is the Stinger folding motorcycle trailer. Now the Stinger comes in a version to tow either a single bike, a double bike, or even a Can-Am Spyder. But the big advantage of the Stinger is that it easily folds up so it can be kept at the campsite rather than having to park it elsewhere, as is often the case with trailers at many campgrounds. It's very light and it gives me an efficient towing solution. There is a link below for the trailer if anybody is interested. Now, if this whole Prius thing sounds crazy to you, well, it did to me too at first. But check this out. After doing a complete analysis of Prius camping, I discovered two major advantages, two slightly less major but important advantages, and a slew of other benefits that made the decision making easy. So first off, one of the two major advantages of Prius camping is the fuel economy of this hybrid vehicle. The other is climate control, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Now, Toyota advertises that their Generation 4 Prius models, those are the 2016 and later model years, have an amazing 52 mpg fuel consumption rating, city and highway combined. Now, my first question was, is that true? Because that's amazing. Now, to answer that, you have to understand what a Prius is and is not. The Prius is not a performance car. If you want a zippy to 0 to 60 in a heartbeat, then the Prius is the wrong car for you. But I'm definitely past that stage of life. When you floor the Prius, it will go from 0 to 60 in a leisurely 10 seconds or so. Now, Prius buyers drive it for a different reason, however, and generally practice a different style of driving than your average 18-year-old in a hyped-up Mustang. Prius drivers own one exactly because of the fuel economy and its minimal carbon footprint rather than how fast it zips off the line. But many Prius Pokemon drivers, as I like to call them, are more entertained by exploring just how to get the best fuel mileage from the car rather than how zippy it is. And that would be me. And this works too because of how I plan to travel. Unless absolutely necessary, I avoid interstates and instead enjoy the adventure of back roads. And this is ideal for the Toyota Prius. There is a driving style to them, and if you are pretty faithful to that, then you're not going to get 52 miles to the gallon. You're going to get a lot more. And in repeated tests, a car fiend friend of mine who owns a 2016 Prius repeatedly gets 77 mpg. Yeah, you heard that right. 77 mpg combined highway and city. And as with all hybrids, it does better in the city than it does on the highway, the opposite of other cars. Now, will I get 77 mpg? Heck, I don't know. I doubt it. But I'd be tickled pink if I got 60 or even 52 as Toyota advertises. So then, as another friend who also owns a Prius said, he averages about 4 cents a mile for fuel. Obviously, that depends on the price of the gas, but he ran a fuel comparison cost of the Prius in a Class C RV and a slide-in camper loaded 3/4 ton pickup. And he found the cost of those RV variations about the same, running about 20 cents a mile. Now that is 5 times more expensive in fuel than a Prius. Whew. That is big time significant, especially on long camping tours. So in practical terms, what does that mean for me? Well, I took a look at my Backroads America tour that I'm planning to use as an example. Now that's a 13,000 mile road trip, and I expect it to take 2 months, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So let's just say 60 days. Now at 60 miles per gallon and an average fuel cost of $2.50 a gallon, I'll need about 220 gallons of fuel, or about $550. Compare that to an RV at 10 miles to a gallon, and the same road trip will use 1,300 gallons of fuel, $3,200 in gas. The difference of $2,700, of course, only increases if fuel prices rise. Well, folks, that is huge. To put it in perspective, I could spend 54 of the 60 days in a Motel 6, and more on that shortly, all paid for just in the fuel savings of the Prius alone. Now, would I stay in a motel all the time? No, of course not. More likely, I would spend 4 to 8 of the 60 nights in motels, once or twice a week for a break to do laundry, have a hot shower, and use the Wi-Fi. Now, that would cost about $400, leaving me still well over $2,000 ahead of the RV game. And here's the kicker. My wonky hips don't hurt setting up the damn RV every night. And add on top of that the savings in campground fees of RV rates versus tent rates, which a Prius would get, and the savings only increase again. So from another perspective, I can drive from my home in Niagara Falls, Ontario to San Diego County in California to winter there and spend $110 for fuel to get there. As we Canadians say, that is insane, eh? And here's the bonus. The $2,000 savings in fuel costs pays for a Caribbean cruise or two if I want to take a break from RVing. That's winter, winter chicken dinner, baby. But it doesn't end there. So as I mentioned, Prius Camping has two major advantages going for it. The first is fuel economy, and the second is maybe even more important, and that is the issue of dry camping, boondocking, power, and air conditioning. So I ask you rhetorically, what is the worst part of camping of any sort, whether in a fancy RV or in a tent somewhere? And to me, this is a no-brainer. It is trying to sleep on a hot, muggy night with no wind and no air conditioning. I hate it. I may as well not bother going to bed because I sure ain't going to sleep. And with no sleep, 1 or possibly 2 days are ruined. Now, solar panel is an RV option, but will not power air conditioning units yet. So in traditional RVs, you have to have air conditioning comfort. You have to either be plugged into shore power or run a generator. There's no other choice. Obviously then, those options limit one's ability to dry camp in comfort. Well, Prius Camping to the rescue. And if I thought the fuel economy of the Prius spiked my interest, the fact that the Prius is the world's most efficient electric generator for all things camping and supplies all the power I will ever need, plus runs the air conditioner, had me caught hook, line, and sinker. Whether boondocking on a beach in southern Texas, or in a private campground, federal or state park, alone in the deserts of New Mexico, or in a Walmart parking lot, I have all the power and air conditioning I will ever need. So check this out. How it works is genius. Now, first of all, it's easy to sleep in a Prius. There is plenty of room to sleep, even if you're 6.5 feet tall, which I'm not. But I will come back to that in a bit. Now, when you're ready to go to bed in a Prius, if it's hot and you need air conditioning, Toyota has designed a mode that allows you to set the engine to on, much like powering on a normal car, but not turning the engine on. Now, what happens is because the Prius air conditioner is electric, it works off the big, heavy-duty hybrid battery. So to sleep in climate-controlled comfort, all you do is set the car to on and everything is functional. Then set the temperature you want and go to bed. It's that easy. That's it. So now, while you sleep, when the air conditioner is needed, it starts automatically and then it shuts off. Because the air conditioner compressor is powered by the hybrid battery, it's completely silent. Now, eventually, the battery will drain and get too low to power the air conditioner. And here is the genius of the Toyota engineers. When the battery gets too low, the Prius recognizes that and the engine turns on automatically, continuing the air conditioning and also recharging the hybrid battery. It does this automatically as you sleep and the engine is completely silent. It will not wake you up or disturb any of your campers nearby. Now the engine comes on for only a couple of minutes each hour and fully recharges the battery, then shuts off and the battery takes over again. At the same time, you can be charging all of your electronics. The same thing happens for heat. Set the temperature and when needed, the engine quietly comes on and heats the car and then shuts off. In the morning, you wake up refreshed, comfortable, and ready for the day. And here's where it gets even better. Let's say you had to have the air conditioner on for 10 hours, which to me would be far longer than I could sleep. Each hour the engine turns itself on, recharges the battery, then turns itself off. By morning, you'll have used about a half a gallon of gasoline. That's it. No threat of running out of gas, no dead battery, all your stuff recharged, a good night's sleep, and all for the cost of half a gallon of gasoline, or about a buck and a half. Are you kidding me? That's chump change. Now I don't have to buy a generator, maintain it, refuel it, change its oil, or worry about having disturbed other campers. incredible. That is just amazing. Now, if you boondocked for a whole month, you could spend nothing on camping fees and chump change for unlimited power and air conditioning. And you can cook with that setup as well. Use 12-volt appliances and you're good to go. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this part, but I've been told that by adding an inexpensive inverter, you can even have 110 volts. I'll be checking into that just to make sure. So the Prius means you're never without power, and all because of the massive hybrid battery and Toyota's impressive ability to charge it quickly. Air conditioning on demand whenever I want it, wherever and whatever conditions I'm in. Folks, you can't beat that, in my opinion anyway. Okay, so now let's deal with the other pros and even some cons related to Prius camping, because there are some of both, and this isn't a panacea for all campers.